Hello and welcome back to Born to Rant. I'm Brandon, and this week we are taking a trip to a summer camp with no counselors, no parents, and most importantly, no rules. A movie that gave us a mini Back to the Future reunion, and the movie that kickstarted the mini summer camp trend of the 1990s. That's right, today we are taking a look at 1994's Camp. Directed by Jonathon Prince, written by Saturday Night Live alum Andrew Kurtzman and Elliott Wald, and starring Christopher Lloyd, Thomas F. Wilson, Jonathan Jackson, Andrew Keegan, Marnette Patterson, and Melody Kay. We'll take a look at how the movie came together, everything that makes this movie a classic, and its legacy over 30 years later. Camp Nowhere. I'm not sure about the rest of you, but I feel like this was a movie that would constantly play on cable like TNT or TBS throughout the late 90s. And it's one that anytime it was on, I would stop and watch it. And I think a big part of that is that I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, so seeing not only Doc, but Biff as well in another movie was always very intriguing to me. But I was also a huge Boy Meets World fan, and several of the actors here ended up having small parts on that show over the years. But mostly what I remember from this movie is that I loved both the mayhem of the movie and how much heart it had. Don't get me wrong, it's still a ridiculous 90s kids movie and features your fairly standard 90s kids takeover tropes like fireworks and super soakers and even electric guitars. And I hadn't seen this movie in quite some time. I think I watched it like maybe 15 years ago in the early days of streaming when it was up on Netflix or Hulu or something, but I hadn't really thought of it much until I thought to cover Heavyweights a couple weeks ago, and that got me thinking about how this movie, Heavyweights, and Bushwhacked make up a fun little unofficial summer camp trilogy. But when I put the movie on to watch it for this video, I was surprised by just how much I'd forgotten, and that the best part of the movie is the last act when they pull off 4 different parents' days in one afternoon, which is ridiculous and so much fun. But before I start getting too deep into everything that makes Camp Nowhere still worth watching, let's go back in time and learn just a little bit more about how the movie came together. And strangely enough, it all begins at 30 Rockefeller Plaza, where Andrew Kurtzman and Elliott Wald first met as writers on Saturday Night Live, where they both happened to work for just a couple of years in the early 80s, and there they quickly formed a writing partnership. And in the second half of the decade, the two would write and sell their script for See No Evil, Hear No Evil, which I think is genuinely one of the most uneven movies I've ever seen, but that's a story for a different day.
How many fingers am I holding up in front of your eyes right now? 3! That's pretty good, considering that he's blind.
So then, in the early 90s, the two wrote the script for Camp Nowhere, which they were able to sell to Disney, who agreed to finance and distribute the movie. Although during production, they did decide that this movie was just a little too adult for the Disney brand.
Oh, bonjour guys. We got beer.
So it was moved to be a Hollywood Pictures production, and Hollywood Pictures, if you didn't know, was an imprint that Disney used for more adult-focused releases. And unfortunately, there really is just not a ton of information out there about the making of this movie. Like, I can't even find an official budget listed anywhere. But what I do know is that Jonathon Prince was hired to direct, and this would be his debut feature film, having really only directed a couple of episodes of TV before being offered Camp Nowhere. As for the casting, Jonathan Jackson had started working on General Hospital, and everyone else had been doing minor roles across TV and movies, but nothing super notable. Although it is notable that 3 of our 4 leads would end up having guest spots on Boy Meets World over the years. Now, as for Christopher Lloyd, he got an early version of the script and was apparently not super into it, but agreed to do it if he could get just a little more money. And there's also some rumor to him getting Thomas Wilson the job too, but I couldn't find anything out there that confirmed this. And it sounds like Christopher Lloyd could be kind of cold towards the kid actors while they were filming. Like, between takes, he wouldn't talk to or joke around with them. Like, he was very much in his own world while he was on set. And on February 1st, 1994, Camp Nowhere went into production and would film primarily at Disney's Golden Oak Ranch, which is about an hour outside of Los Angeles, and it sounds like filming for this movie was pretty fun. Like, a couple of years ago, Hilary Tuck, who plays Betty in the movie and would also have a small stint on Boy Meets World, went on to the Pod Meets World podcast and talked a bit about the making of the movie. And she said that it was really really fun, and that to get all of these fun shots of the kids just fully having a blast, the director basically just gave them toys, told them to have fun, and let the cameras roll. Filming for Camp Nowhere would wrap just 2 months later on April 2nd, and the movie would have an insanely fast post-production turnaround before being released into theaters on August 26th, 1994, where it would make $2.7 million and place 9th at the box office for its opening weekend, before going on to gross a worldwide total of $10.4 million. And again, there's no reported budget for this movie, but I have to imagine this was somewhat of a disappointing haul. But also, again, this was a movie that Disney wasn't super psyched about to begin with, but like with most of the movies we cover here on the channel, I have to imagine that it really found a second life on the home video market. There's also the fact that in 2006, the movie Accepted, starring Justin Long, would be released.
Ask me about my winner!
And features a plot that is damn near identical to this movie, except swap out summer camp with college. Like, that movie is almost beat for beat Camp Nowhere. But more on the legacy of the movie in just a bit. Apologies for the interruption, but I wanted to jump in and ask that if you're enjoying the video so far, that you take a moment to either like the video or subscribe to the channel. Born to Rant is a completely independent channel, and I use absolutely no generative AI in the making of my videos, and if that means anything to you at all, your support would mean the world. And with all of that out of the way, I think it's time for us to head off to Camp Nowhere and dive into everything that still makes it worth watching today.
You're a little sure.
Well, you're a little fat.
Now, I do think if we're talking about what makes Camp Nowhere still worth watching today, a lot of it does boil down to nostalgia. If you're not nostalgic for this movie or a kid, I'm not so sure it will work for you. But I think what makes this movie still sing overall are our 5 lead performances from Lloyd, Jackson, Keegan, Patterson, and Kay. And we'll get to Lloyd in just a minute, but let's start with the main 4 kids. So first of all, the dynamic of their friend group really doesn't make much sense, but also makes perfect sense if you're looking at the movie from a 90s logic point of view. What I mean is that it's clear these 4 have grown up together and like spending time together still, even as their lives have all started going in different directions, with the obvious defector being Zach, who's taken to his new role of school bully like a fish to water.
You need a bath, man, and the porcelain jacuzzi.
And I really like how Keegan plays Zach. Like, when we meet him, he drags Mud to the boys' room but makes his friend stay behind, and then the two talk about Zach's homework, which Mud does for him, and then they fake giving Mud a swirly and leave because
I've got a reputation.
But it's clear that Zach has a heart of gold. Like, this moment later on when he comforts this crying little girl is something that's always really stuck out to me.
Why don't you take this back to your cabin, pick out the ones you like, and tomorrow we'll make me a necklace.
But anyway, after school, it's revealed that Zach does in fact still hang out with Mud just outside of school, and he also hangs with Trish and Gabby as well. And I really like that as these 3 are joking around, Mud tries to join in only to be completely ignored. I think it does a great job of setting up how he sees himself within this group. And okay, let's talk summer camps real quick, because these are kind of wild. So Mud's parents want to send him to computer camp, which nothing crazy there. Trish is being sent to theater camp, which she's into. It's just that she doesn't want to deal with the other theater kids, and I mean, fair enough. Zach's being sent off to military summer camp because bad boy, and then Gabby is being sent to a fat camp, and okay, let's talk about this. First of all, Gabby is not fat even a little bit, and I say that knowing that Hillary Tuck said they put her in a fat suit for the first half of the movie, but it literally just looks like she's wearing a heavy sweater. So anyway, the kids are all being shipped off to different camps, and they don't want to go. And I like that even though Mud feels like the odd man out through most of the movie, it is him constantly coming up with the ideas and schemes and keeping things in line and moving forward. Although I do think it's kind of weird that Mud leads the kids throughout the entire movie, and then towards the end we get this weird moment.
You're not gonna let this pygmy tell you what to do, are you?
That's what he's been doing all along. This whole camp was Mud's idea.
Like, did any of these kids not realize Mud had been leading everything? So the kids hatch a plan to hire their school's previous drama teacher, Dennis, who was...
He got fired and left town.
And...
He tried to do Silence of the Lambs as a musical.
And I mean, what can we say about Christopher Lloyd that hasn't been said a million other times? The guy is just an incredible comedic talent. He's got this mischievous smile that makes me feel like we're about to have the most fun possible. His introduction at the food court is silly but fun, but it's really when Mud shows up to his trailer to proposition him that he gets to shine through. Like, I love how excited he is to throw on a disguise and mess with this debt collector. And how Mud jumping in to play along is the thing that really wins him over. Well, that and the other kids hide his car so it doesn't get repossessed. And I mean, the best part of Lloyd's performance is that he gets to do so many fun characters. Each of the 4 camps get their own distinct counselor. We've got Dennis Wozniak of Binary Pines Computer Camp, which of course is a fun little nod to Back to the Future and the Twin Pines / Lone Pine Mall. There's also Mr. Batowski of Shakespeare Hollow, and I love that his pretentious accent is so thick you can barely make out a single word he's saying.
But how deep can you go in 6 weeks?
Also love the little detail of Trisha's dad not realizing which daughter is in front of him or which summer camp they're going to. There's also the Richard Simmons-esque character of Camp Sleekaway, who's just an incredible character, and I love the way he tricks the mom into thinking the cake here must be good for you because
If it tastes like poison, it must be diet food.
And finally, my favorite of the 4, Major Savage of Camp Alpha Charlie, who's just an overwhelming hardass, and it's just so much fun to watch Lloyd growl and glare like this. So with that, the kids have successfully duped their parents into sending them to camps that don't exist. Only there's one problem. Mud's buddy Walter here has figured out the scam and told his lab partner Betty Stoller, and anyway, Betty didn't keep it to herself, so now there are dozens of kids who want in on the plan. So with that, Camp Nowhere is officially in session, and I mean, this is the real meat of the movie. And I really think that the smartest thing the movie does is showing the kids having fun immediately. Like I said earlier, a lot of the shooting technique for this movie was to set the kids up with a fun activity and then just let them go nuts and film it all. And the first day at camp is really fun. We get the kids jumping off the cabins onto gross mattresses, the fake out of the kids tuning into 90210 on a little portable TV when we thought they were trying to get a fire going, and then of course, middle of the night flashlight tag, which leads to them finding this cool old car, and all of the kids demanding that Mud give them their share of the money that their parents put up for camp. And this is actually a really interesting sequence to me, because what was Mud's plan for all of this cash? Also, this has to be like well over 100 grand, right? So the kids get their money and immediately go on a huge shopping spree, which leads to a really fun montage of the kids just being chaotic and having fun, until we hit our first roadblock of the movie, when Mud gets hurt and has to go to the doctor, and this introduces us to both Wendy McKenna as Dr. Celeste Dunbar and Thomas F. Wilson as Lieutenant Elliot Hendricks. And actually, I want to pause here for just a second to talk about the filmmaking aspects of this movie. First of all, Jonathon Prince did a great job getting good performances out of all of these kids. They all feel like they're having fun and like they're not acting. There's also Sandy Sissel's cinematography, which I think does a great job of bringing the movie to life. It's just got this really vibrant look that makes the movie feel like it's actually summer. But I think the highlight of the look of the movie is the Rain Olympics, both the montage of the games themselves, but more than that, the conversation between Dennis and Mud in Dennis's cabin just looks incredible. It's also hilarious to me that Dennis is spending his rainy days sorting jelly beans with absolutely no explanation offered or asked for. So as the summer goes on, Dennis and Dr. Dunbar start a little relationship, and their date is absolutely hilarious, with them pretending that Mud is Dennis's son, and the way that Dennis throws him outside to get the good doctor alone is hilarious.
He sure loves his room.
But this is where things quickly start to unravel. The doctor figures out that Mud's bedroom was, well, outside, and Lieutenant Hendricks and the debt collector from earlier team up, all while the parents of all the kids at camp have started to get antsy and are demanding a Parents' Day. And the Parents' Day sequence is the clear highlight of the movie. Each of the camps is so different, and it's so much fun watching the kids all work together to fool each set of parents. Like, I love the crew of kids that are in charge of changing the sign based on which groups of parents are arriving to the camp. Also, I love that Zach's dad seems to be the only military camp parent, so they just shove him in a foxhole and torture him for a couple hours. I do kind of feel like we get a little ripped off on the fat camp front, but I mean, we do get to see Lloyd's ridiculous character again, so I'm counting it as a win. But the two highlights are obviously the drama camp, where Trish is performing in Annie,
Directed by Steven Spielberg's nephew.
and I love how they shove the parents to the side of the stage and then blind them with the spotlight when they try and look at the crowd. But it's the computer camp that has always been my favorite, with the kids pretending to hack into the Pentagon and using the overhead military planes as a way to trick their parents. And while they do pull off all 4 camps successfully, unfortunately, it all comes crashing down when our debt collector shows back up. Although one thing that's never made sense to me is, how are Mud and Dennis able to have this long of a conversation without someone showing up to arrest Dennis? But anyway, at the end of the day, Mud takes responsibility for everything.
Dad, just because I'm smart doesn't mean I can't act stupid.
Look, if Mud's guilty, I am too.
Me too.
Yeah, and I'm stupid too.
and our 4 leads couple up and kiss to end the movie. Well, sort of. We do get this incredible stinger of Betty torturing Walter. So over 30 years later, what is the legacy of Camp Nowhere? Well, like I said, it sort of serves as the kickoff of the unofficial trilogy of 90s summer camp movies alongside Heavyweights and Bushwhacked, although I guess Bushwhacked is more of a summer camping movie than it is a summer camp movie, isn't it? So maybe this is more of a no parents, no rules movie? You know, stuff like House Arrest or whatever. And one minor thing that Camp Nowhere is also known for is the fact that this is Jessica Alba's on-screen debut. And like I said earlier, in 2006, the movie Accepted would essentially steal the plot of Camp Nowhere beat for beat, really just changing the location from a summer camp to college. But other than that, I think Camp Nowhere just sort of exists as a nice little standalone treat for those of us that grew up with it. There's never been a sequel or any talks of a remake or reboot, and I think that's just fine. But let me know in the comments, did you grow up with Camp Nowhere? Where does it land for you amongst the other summer camp movies I mentioned? Should I cover House Arrest next? If you've made it this far into the video, thank you for watching, and as always, a very special thank you to my supporters over on Patreon and my channel members here on YouTube. I truly could not do it without your support. Don't forget, members get early access to videos and access to exclusive videos, and all tiers on both platforms are available for a free trial period. But if becoming a member isn't your thing, you watching the video and either taking a second to like it or subscribe to the channel is more than I could ever ask for. And that's going to do it for Born to Rant this week. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.